let's go ahead and get in here. All right, let's just go ahead and open the box. Have a good talent for opening things upside down. So here's your Kizer instructions or warranty details, all that good stuff, wiping cloth, right? The usual stuff on there. And here is the knife. We'll get to that in just a moment. We got some additional hardware, which is also, always welcome. And Kizer does a really good job at always including additional hardware with all their knives, or the majority of their knives. And there is a nice little sticker for you, Koala Action for Dreams, right? So go ahead and put all that back in here, right? Here is the knife, ladies and gentlemen. Let's take a look. Ooh, okay. All right. Take a look at this thing. All right, first impression, we got that G10 style handle going on here, which looks really good. It looks familiar, and I'll tell you what I mean in a second when I say that it looks familiar. I have another Kizer knife that has the same carbon fiber scales, and I love it. This one here also feels really, really good. We have nested liners on this one, reversible pocket clip that is deep carry. We have a flipper, a button, and some thumb studs. So this should be pretty cool, right? If you guys are ready, I'm ready. Let's get this thing open. Bam! All right, this thing is a sort of like a Chilean cutter, right? Like a kukri Chilean style blade. Reminds me a little bit of another Kizer blade that I looked at recently, which I'll show you in a second as well. So there's the ASO logo, Mini Grouper printed right there as a model name. And then we have the Kizer logo, Nitro V. As far as billboarding goes, it is almost a full, pretty much a full flat grind for the most part. And it is a beautiful satin finish blade, right? Looking really, really nice here. We have that button. And okay, this is, if I'm reading correctly, yeah, if I'm reading correctly, this is not a traditional button lock. No. It looks like Kizer is joining many other companies like Kunwu and Vosteed, who are doing their own version of the button-operated liner lock. So if you guys can see what's going on here, right? Take a look as the blade comes open. This liner is going to slide in place just like that, and the button disengages the liner, right? So I actually have another Kizer here for reference. So this is a plunge lock button lock, right? So it basically has a little circular area that comes out like that, locking the blade in place. That's a traditional button lock, like on this Amicus from Kizer. Pretty solid, by the way. Check out the unboxing on this one. Review coming up very soon. Will also be linked down below. So traditional version of a button lock right there, right? Plunge lock, button lock. But now with the new version, right? It feels, as far as your thumb goes, kind of feels like a traditional button lock, except the functionality, the mechanism is different. So it's kind of like a top liner lock, so very similar. It does have some similarities to the compression lock from Spyderco, right? As you know, the compression lock from Spyderco is a form of a liner lock that happens at the top, right? And they gave it a nice, good name, great for marketing, called the compression lock. So their patented actually expired recently. So a lot of companies like, again, Vosteed and Kunwu have been making their own versions of a compression lock. They just can't call it the compression lock. So still a liner lock, and it happens at the top. And a lot of companies have figured out they can combine it with that sort of button press feel, right? That makes it very nice and intuitive to use. And that's what you got going on here. So definitely the right call, right? Keeps your fingers safe and out of the way when closing the knife there, right? You can use the flipper on here, boom. That's nice. You got thumb studs. You got at least 4 different deployment options on this guy. And I'm just excited, happy that Kizer finally was able to also get their own button-operated liner lock going on as well. It's obviously needless to say, this mechanism here, by comparison, is going to be a little bit in nature, right? Just in nature, a button-operated liner lock is going to be a little stronger than much stronger than a plunge lock button lock. All right, that's just, something to keep in mind right there for sure. So definitely the more preferable one of the two to have. Action is good. Button is in a nice little cutout area right there, which is good. And here's what I meant by the G10 situation, by the carbon fiber situation, right? I have the Kizer Budget Varatas, right? And it has that same carbon fiber going on, although check out the sizing, right? Those rectangles are a little bit more pronounced, much bigger on the mini grouper here as compared to on the Varatas. The one thing it does have is it has that 3D feel to it. So as you run your finger through it, it's not a flat surface. You actually feel the contouring of each and every single one of those rectangles on the actual pattern that you see. So that's pretty cool. So let's just do some size comparisons here, shall we? Right, since I already got the Varatas out here, right? This is what it looks like next to it. It's actually a little bit about the same, honestly. And it's funny because it has mini in the name. If this is the mini grouper, I don't want to see what the probably the full size grouper is, you know, a much larger beast. But there is the Varatas. Here's the Amicus we've been kind of touching on here so far, little by little. So this one is a little bit shorter, right? As you can see. Again, just kind of give you a little bit of a ballpark. We'll kind of go in reverse order this time around. I typically kind of go more premium to budget, but we'll go backwards on this particular one. Here is the Vosteed Raccoon. And here's the CJRB Hectare. And this is what I mean, right? This Hectare from CJRB has the same pattern, but as you run your finger through it, it's a flat surface all throughout. So it's kind of like if it had an additional layer of clear coat or something, because you don't feel that texture on this particular one, but you do feel the texture on this carbon fiber right here. Every single rectangle you can absolutely feel with your hands. So it's, again, different approach right there. Definitely wanted to make sure that I pointed that out to you. All of these are somewhat in the same ballpark, right? The Hectare Alt, it's a little bit shorter. The Raccoon, it's definitely very comparable. Here's the Civivi Vision FG. That's going to be a little bit larger. Right here is the Kizer Militaw. It's going to be a little bit larger as well. This is the budget version of the Kizer Militaw. Definitely check it out as well. If you haven't already, I have an unboxing and upcoming review on that one also. Have pretty much content on all these knives. So if you see something you like and you want to learn more, you can simply, you know, look up the knife name, Miguel EDC, on the YouTube search bar. And you'll find that video right away. The Demko AD 20.5 is going to be a little bit shorter. The Kunwu Chad is going to be a little bit longer. And last but not least, Spyderco Bros here, the Yojimbo 2 and the Manix 2. So it kind of gives, you know, comparable to the Manix 2, has that leaf shape style blade, although you get a little bit more belly here. It is a taller blade overall, right? But you get the idea. My goal is just to give you a ballpark. Hopefully you own some of these knives, right? More or less, just to see where this guy lands. Ergonomically speaking, one thing I did notice is all of the corners are nice and chamfered, or, you know, nice and rounded off, which is good. No sharp spots on the handle anywhere. And the handle is nice and curved down like that too. So definitely feels right at home. Pocket clip is comfortable as well. Right, bearing down on it here. I actually feel pretty good. Good 9.5 out of 10. We can get some work done. Got plenty of jimping on that blade. That's pretty solid. And we can get to work. I can see this thing being a nice cardboard destroyer right here. With that flat grind, this thing is going to be super slicey. I was going to say, here's the other knife that I had in mind, but it is a different designer here, I think. Actually, no, I lied. It's actually AZO as well. So the Kizer Infinity, right, to infinity and beyond, is also an AZO design. And it has, right, if you think about it, pretty much the very similar geometry, although a much, I mean, not as tall of a blade, right? So I did want to point that one out as well. That's an option. So maybe you're looking at the mini grouper, you're saying, hey, that blade is a little too tall. I want something a little narrower for my taste. This one's also a Nitro V, by the way, and it's just as sharp, cuts just as good. And it's just a little bit of a narrower blade, right? So the handle's also slightly different, right? Something else to consider. And again, AZO, or AZO, A-Z-O, the designer, and he has a bunch of different designs out there, pretty good from Kizer, so definitely worth looking into. And of course, this knife, these two, and every other knife that you've seen so far will be linked down below. So if you're interested in checking prices, availability, variants, right? By the time you're watching this video, I would have already looked up every single site this one is available, linked it for you down there. So if you're interested in picking one up for yourself, of course, it does help out the channel when you use those links, but that's entirely up to you and at zero extra cost. Hope you guys really enjoyed this one. If you made it to the end, you're the real MVP. Hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care, and I'll see you on the next one, either this one or this one. Peace.